Hey teammates, and welcome to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Damara here, and this tutorial is a completion of a Milkmaid dress tutorial which I already posted on my channel. If you haven't seen that, don't worry, I'm going to plug you and I'm going to leave the link in my description box. I need everyone to be carried along in this tutorial, so if you haven't seen that, just go ahead in my description box and click on the link there and watch it, and then come back for the completion, which is this particular tutorial. If this is your first time on my channel, in this channel we make sewing tutorials, sewing DIYs, tips and tricks, and everything about sewing. With that being said, do not forget to hit on that subscribe button to turn on your post notification to know whenever I post new sewing tutorials on here. And yes, feel free to ask about anything you do not understand in my comment section, and I'll be attending to that. You can also be making suggestions on a sewing tutorial you would like to see on my channel, and I'll be glad also to attend to that. For all my returning viewers, I love you guys so much. Now without further ado, let's get into this. I already explained this in my previous tutorial, but just to go over it again, I added 1 inch down here, none to the zipper allowance, 0.5 inch to the side and to the top of the back piece. To the middle piece, I added 1 inch to the down part, I added half to the side, I added half inch to the cup area, and I didn't add any to the center front. For the cup, I added 0.5 inch all the way around my pattern paper, and then I added 1 inch to the top of the pattern paper because we'll be creating a passage to insert our rope. Another thing we did in the previous tutorial was to create our cups, which will be inserted into the bodies of this dress. This cup is to be attached to the bodies of this dress, and I'll be showing you guys just exactly how to achieve that. To attach your cup to the bodies, you're going to place it on that point there. That is if you don't want your Milkmaid to be too open. So I don't like mine too open, so I place it exactly on that point there. So I'm just going to pin it down just like this, and I'm going to continue to pin it down around the curve there, just like you see me doing. You need to make sure that the gathered part of your curve fits into the curve down, just like you see me gathering, just to make sure that they all fit into the curve down there. After pinning the gathered part of your cup to the curve of the bodies, just pin the side of the cup to the side of the bodies, just like you see me doing. After pinning it down, this is what I have, and it's already looking like it's sewn in. I'm going to do exactly the same thing to the other side of my cup. Like I mentioned earlier, because I do not want the center part of my bustier open after fixing my cup, I'll be placing the center or the middle part of this second top on top of the place where I placed my first cup, just like this. And this is going to help to cover it up and not make it too open after you are done sewing. Okay, if you don't mind yours a bit open, you don't have to pin it on the first cup, just pin it to its own side of the bodies. Now I'll pin this down. After pinning my both cups down, this is what I have, and as you can see, this middle part is not so open because I pinned them on top of each other to give me a little closure. I'm not satisfied with what I have here, so I'll just go ahead to my machine and stitch down my cups to my bodies, and then let's move ahead. I'm done stitching that down, and this is what I have. This is what yours should look like when you're done stitching it down. And as you can notice, I didn't use lining, so I'll be overlocking this part later. The back side is pretty easy. I'll just go ahead and remove my pattern paper and open that up. What you'll be doing here is to finish the top of your back piece by folding it in and sewing it down, and I'll be doing that by folding in the top part of my back piece twice, just like you see me doing here. And I'll go to my machine and I'll stitch it down all the way to the end of the back, and I'm going to do this on both sides of my back. Do not forget to stitch down your dart just like you drafted out on your pattern paper. Whatever you're doing to one piece is exactly the same thing you'll be doing to the other piece. I'm done sewing in my darts and the top part of my back piece, and as you can see, this was how it came out. So now we have our back piece, and then we also have the front part of our dress ready. We are just going to keep that aside. The next thing we'll be doing is to cut out the sleeves for this dress. Let's go. For the sleeves of the dress, we'll be cutting them together, so you need to fold it into 4. As you can see here, I folded it into 2 first, and then I folded it again into 2, just like this. So I'm cutting the 2 sleeves together. This is actually what I have left of my fabric, so I'll be using everything. I'll just be measuring what I have there. I have about 13.5 inches for the width, and how long the sleeve will be, I have about 13 inches there. Remember, we'll be gathering this sleeve using elastic band, so you have to make sure that the width of your sleeve is long enough to contain or to give that puff effect. Now that we are done with that, I'm just going to use my scissors to open up the side of my sleeve and separate my sleeve into two, just like this. The next thing you'll be doing is to close up both ends of your sleeve and to create a passage where you're going to be passing your elastic band. The part for the elastic band, I'll just fold it in by about 1/4 inch and fold it in by 1 inch again, just like this. Fold it in by 1/4 inch and then by 1 inch. Now go ahead and stitch this down all the way to the end of each part of my sleeve. After stitching that down, after creating the passage for my elastic, this is what I have. Just make sure that the passage you create is big enough to contain your elastic band, okay? To be able to attach this sleeve to the bodice, you need to create an armhole on it before we insert our elastic band. To create the armhole curve, I'll be bringing in my back piece. This is my back piece, and then I'll fold my fabric into two, and the side to which you'll be creating the armhole curve will be to the side of the sleeve and not to the center of the sleeve, just like this. I'll be placing my pattern paper there and I'll just trim out my armhole curve, just like you see me doing here. Do not forget that whatever you're doing to one sleeve is what you're doing to the other. After cutting out my armhole curve here, I'm just going to do the same thing on this other sleeve. After doing that, just keep the sleeve aside and let's cut the down part of this dress. Cutting the down part of this dress, you need to really be flexible. It depends on what you want. If you want a free one or if you want a fitted one. My client wanted it quite fitted, so I'm going to be cutting it to fit her just exactly the way she likes. Because of this, in this tutorial, I'm making a fitted dress, but I'll also be giving you tips on how to make it a free one if that's what you want to make for yourself. Basically, what I have here is the back part and the front part of my skirt. The back part, I added 1.5 inch zipper allowance to the back part all the way to the down part of the gown, and then the front part, I folded it and placed it exactly at the 1.5 inch zipper allowance I have there, because the front we are not going to be having any zipper there. The next thing you'll be doing is to place your vertical measurement from your waist to your hip line, and you mark that and rule a straight line across. What my client has is 8 inches, so I'm just going to mark that there and connect it with a straight line. The next measurement to be from your waist to your knee line. What I have for mine is 22 inches, so I'm just going to mark that there and connect also with a straight line. I'll just be extending these lines to the zipper part of my back piece. For the length of the dress, you can just use your desired length for the dress. Now let's place our round body measurements. Add your waist measurements by 4 and place it on the waistline, and you're starting your measurement from this 1.5 inch here. So just divide your waist by 4 and place it on the waist. For the hip, divide your hip measurements by 4 and also place it on the hip line, just like this. Because this is a fitted gown, I'll be removing 1 inch from what I have on my hip line, and that's what I'm going to be placing on my knee line. If you don't want yours fitted, just mark exactly the same thing you have on your hip line, on your knee line, all the way straight down to the length of your gown, okay? But for mine, it's going to be fitted, so I'm removing 1 inch from the knee line, and I'm going to be placing the same measurement I have on my hip on my length, okay? Because there's an kind of effect I want this gown to have. I wasn't able to get my client to wear it for you guys to see how it came out, but there was an effect I wanted to get, okay? So just connect these 2 points together from your waist to your hip line to your knee line into your length of the dress. Just connect all your points together. Let me give you guys another tip while I'm joining all my points together. If you want to have a more freer dress, because if you just mark from your hip straight down, the gown is going to look straight. But if you want it to look fitted at the hip and then the down part you want it to be quite free, what you need to do is to add extra inches to the knee and also to the length of the gown, okay? That's what you just need to do, and that's depending on how big you want the gown to look. You can add 1 inch to the knee, and to the length you can add 2 inches or 1.5 depending on how you want it. Now, as you can see here, you can see how I'm joining that from the knee to the length of my gown. That's the effect I want this gown to have. Now I'm just going to add 1/2 inch stitching allowance to the sides and cut this out. For the top of my front piece, this is just for the front piece only, I'll come down by 0.75 inch and I'm going to blend that into my waist measurement, just like you see me doing here. Make sure that you cut this out only on your front piece and not the back piece. This is going to give it a kind of fitting that is very nice. You guys, there's something I like to do to the waist part of my center back to make it fitted. I like to come in first from the center back by 1/2 inch, which I already marked there, and I'm going to blend it into my hip line. Okay, remember I extended my hip line to the zipper allowance part. Now after blending it in from the original 1.5 inch that we marked there, I'm also going to come in by 1/2 inch from that part, and I'm going to also blend that into the hip line just like you see me doing. Now these two new points, these two new curves, is going to be my new zipper allowance. This is because the back is not straight, it's a bit curved in for the female bodies. This is going to help to give your gown a very beautiful fitting. Now after connecting that to the hip line, just take your curve rule just like I'm doing here and just blend it down into the knee line just like you see me doing. And remember, I extended my knee line into my zipper allowance, so I know where exactly my nail is ending. Right now, this is what I have. I'll just go ahead and use my scissors and cut this out. After cutting it out, this is what it should look like. Now go ahead and notch the new point of your zipper allowance, which is that part where I'm marking. To connect the upper part of the front piece to the down part, what you need to do first is to fold your fabric and get the midpoint for both the skirt part and also the top part of your gown. So I'm just going to notch the midpoint there. After doing that, place the both pieces right sides facing each other and make sure that the midpoints are together, and go ahead and stitch this down all the way to the end of the gown. Be doing exactly the same thing you did on the front piece to the back piece. Get the midpoint and notch it both on the skirt part and on the top part of the back piece, and go ahead and stitch this down together, right sides facing each other on your machine. After stitching down the both sides of my back piece, this is what I have. This is the first side and this is the other side. This is how it came out. And then for my front piece, this is what I have. The next thing you'll be doing is to attach your sleeve to this dress. Before attaching the sleeve to the dress, you need to fix in your elastic to the upper part and to the lower part of this dress. Okay, to fix your elastic, the side of your sleeve that is meant to be on the shoulder, you can just divide your armhole into two and remove about 1 to 2 inches depending on how tight you want this to be on your shoulder. And then to the lower part of your sleeve, you can just divide what you have on your round bicep by 2 and remove some inches depending on how tight you want this to be. Now I'm fixing my elastic through my upper part using my safety pin, and I'm going to pin it down when I get to the end of each side because I don't want this to get missing inside this passage. Okay, I'll be doing exactly the same thing on the lower part of my sleeve, and I'll show you guys what I have. After fixing in my elastic through the passages, I also went ahead to stitch down the sides of the part where I fix my elastic so it doesn't get missing inside. So this is what I have. This is what yours should look like, and now it's ready to be inserted into our dress. How to do that is this side of the sleeve that we cut the armhole curve on is what we are going to be inserting to the front side and to the back part of the dress, and I'll be showing you guys exactly how we will do that now. Bringing in the front piece of my dress, I'm going to be attaching the curved or the armhole curve on my sleeve to the armhole curve on my dress. Make sure that you put this well. As you can see, I'm not putting this well. The side of the sleeve is meant to be together with the side of your dress, just like I placed here. All right, so the side of your sleeve to the side of your dress. So I placed this together, sides facing each other, and I'm going to stitch down the armhole. I'll bring in the back piece and I'm going to do exactly the same thing, the side of my sleeve to the side of my back piece. Okay, go ahead and stitch this down on both sides of your dress, and I'll do the same thing for mine and show you guys what it looks like. After stitching down my sleeves, this is what I have, and as you can see, our dress is already coming together. What you need to do now is to stitch down the sides of your dress all the way from the sleeves to the length of your dress. You can do this by taking out your measurements on your dress and then stitch it down what is left of it. Do not forget to make sure that your fabrics are right sides facing each other. And as you can see what I'm doing here, I'm just making sure that all the sides of my dress are aligned and one is not up and the other is down. So I'm just going to align all the parts of my dress. Basically what I'm doing here is taking out my body measurement on my dress, and I'm going to do this on all the parts of the dress, on the bust, on the waist, the hip, all the way to the length of the dress. Do not forget to divide your measurement by 2 and not 4. Now I'll connect all the lines together and I'll go to the machine and stitch down along the lines I connected. After stitching it down at the sides, this is how beautiful it's looking. I already went ahead to overlock my dress, and I'll be inserting my zip now. I'll just take the measurement of how long I want my zip to be, and I'll stitch down the remaining part of the back piece. After fixing in my dip, this is how my dress came out. I'll just turn it to the front for you guys to see how beautiful this dress is looking. Our gown is ready, but I'll go ahead to add one more thing to this dress, which is the slit. This is totally optional if it's something you would like to add to your dress, but I mean, what is this dress without the slit, right? To do that, just decide on which side you want your slit to be, the left or the right. I decided mine was going to be on the right, and then determine how open you want the slit to be. That's literally just it, and mark it there. So I marked the length where I wanted my slit to stop, and I'm going to just open that up. Now I'll go to my machine and finish the ends of this slit and hem my gown. This is how beautiful my gown came out when I was done. Guys, do not forget to iron out your gown to make it look really pretty. I hope this video was really helpful. Do not forget to hit on that subscribe button, to comment, to share, and to turn on your post notification for when next I post another tutorial. I'll see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye.